Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast presented by Six Pack Coverage Media. It's your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi, coming at you to break down everything you need to know for Week 13 in the NFL to lock in all your bets. First, we're going to do a little Week 12 recap, go over how our bets went, give out our heroes and zeros of the week, and then we'll go game by game, breaking down everything you need to know for each game in the NFL, giving out all our favorite bets on sides, totals, and player props along the way. And then we'll close the show with our long shot of the week, best bets, and our chalk donkey parlay. This is going to be a good chalk donkey week. I think we will have a return because we did not have one last week. Rue, how was week 12 for you?
Well, first of all, I can't believe it's already week 13. Where's the season going? It really is. I mean, I'm already having like withdrawal and the season's not even over yet. I was just thinking about it, but that was a solid week. It feels like Thanksgiving was forever ago, but I think I came out a little ahead on Thanksgiving after that Bills game, was able to hit a long shot on that one. Sunday, another okay day, in the green, up a few units, but, overall a pretty solid week. How about you?
Yeah, pretty similar here. I didn't have a great Thanksgiving, but Sunday I really crushed it. And then, unfortunately came back down a little bit on Monday with the stupid Seahawks. I don't know why I talked myself into Russell Wilson. If I ever try and bet on the Seahawks again, I want you to just reach through the screen and slap me in the face because I will not endure that pain again.
Yeah.
Our debate of the week last week, I got a win there. I am up to 5-4 on the year, so I take a slight edge in our debate of the week. You had the Panthers -2. I had the Dolphins +2. Boy, the Cam Newton experience did not treat you well, my friend.
Yeah, I'll talk about this game a little bit in our Heroes and Zeros segment. Spoiler alert, it is not the hero section of that segment.
Oh, Cam Newton didn't make the hero for you?
Not quite.
So no debate of the week this week. Just want to put that out there now. We did not have any games that we were totally on opposite sides of. So I will keep my 5-4 lead going into week 14 and we'll see if we can find a debate there. Favorite bets of the week, Rue. This one was a tough one. You had the Eagles -2.5 or -3. I guess even if Jalen Reagor did catch that pass and they scored the touchdown, you probably wouldn't have ended up covering, but it was still a pretty heartbreaking loss regardless on the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it's one of those games where you're on the right side. I feel like you handicap the right way. The Eagles were clearly the better team. It's just, to turn the ball over 4 times and still have a chance to win it just shows you how much better they were. And, I think if the Eagles didn't throw a pass the entire game, they would have won, by two or three scores in that game. It was a bad game for Hurts, bad game for Nick Sirianni. So, I'd bet that 10 out of 10 times though. So it's just one of those you just live with. So.
Yep, I'm with you. So you go to 7-4-1 on the year on your favorite bets. I move up to 7-4 on my favorite bets. I got to win with the Bucks team total over 26.5. I was heavily invested in that Bucks.
Why are you one behind me? Why do you have one less than me?
I don't remember. I think I had 1 week where I don't know. Maybe I think I had like a player prop 1 week and the guy didn't play or something. Okay. I have to go back and check. There was something that happened to one of my favorite bets and I ended up being one behind you. Okay. Anyway, very heavily invested in the Bucks and they came through. Long shot of the week. Rue, you killed it with this one. I even put it in myself. I was really pumped. So good call by you. You go to 4-7. We had Dawson Knox anytime touchdown and a Bills win at +430. How'd that feel when Dawson Knox got in the end zone?
Yeah, I was shocked at the odds. He was scoring a ton. I don't think he scored the week prior, but it was he's one of their main red zone targets, if not the main red zone target once they get in there. So yeah, it was I felt really good about the Bills winning, and that was just, I love those odds. So yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even a guy I was really targeting last week, but as soon as you told me the odds, I would have expected it to be like +275. So it's fantastic value. I moved down to 4-6 on my long shot. I had a loss with the Angry Birds parlay. I was all over the Falcons last week. They came home in a big way, but unfortunately the stupid Seattle Seahawks that I will never be laying my money on again, they didn't come through. So lost for me in the long shots. Chalk donkey parlay did not have one last week. It was a very rare week where I think there was only one team that was favored by more than 7 points. So we'll see if we can get that back this week. We are 4-3 on the year. So see if we can stay in the green on that. Prop sheet, another pretty good week. We go to 8-5 on the week. 80-40 overall. So for every loss on the prop sheet, we followed up with 2 wins. That's a pretty profitable strategy. And I thought this week was especially impressive when you consider the fact that Christian McCaffrey went down early in the second quarter. We had his receiving prop over, which was dead. And then Dan Arnold leaves the game in the third quarter, and we have to watch the backup tight end, James O'Shaughnessy, get 3 catches for 29 yards immediately. So Christian McCaffrey's done for the year. I was going to ban him from the prop sheet regardless, but I guess we don't have to face that decision. But, the fact that we lost 2 guys to injury and still ended up 8-5 on the week, pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't feel like a great week, but when we came out on 8-5, I was, pretty happy with that.
I feel like every time we lose any of them, it's frustrating. We feel like 10-1, and I'm like, it wasn't a great week. That one that we lost was, that killed me.
Yeah.
So. It's all right. We'll see if we can keep it rolling. Still hitting around 67%. So we'll see if we can keep that up. Let's go to heroes and zeros of the week. Let's start on the positive end. Give me a hero of the week from week 12.
Yeah, we just touched on him. It's Dawson Knox. It was just, the whole Thanksgiving Day, capping it off with a nice long shot hit, gets in the end zone twice. I was all over the Bills too, had their money line. And so I'll give it to my guy, Dawson Knox, capping off a nice holiday.
All right, my hero of the week, I'm going to go with the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. Like I said, I was very heavily invested in that Bucs game, had a ton on the money line, -2.5, team total over. And look, I'm not a fan of the Bucs. I was never a fan of the Patriots, but I've always been a fan of Brady. I feel like I'm someone that appreciates greatness, and I feel like sometimes you just need to sit back and just realize that you're watching the greatest quarterback that's ever played this game. When he got the ball back at the end of the game, it was just like pure bliss. Like just watching.
But he didn't even play well. It's an interesting here because he had a bad game. It was more on the Colts screwing themselves. He threw for like 200.
He played fine. No, I was more just talking about like the last drive. Like it just felt like I just felt so comfortable that the bet was going to win when they got the ball back. Like I had nothing to worry about because I knew that Brady was going to take care of it. And even Leonard Fournette was big on the last drive. Like it wasn't even a ton by Brady. He made a couple clutch throws on like second and third down to keep the sticks moving. But I just felt like it was one of those games where it's just like another game-winning drive for Tom Brady. Just appreciate it.
I personally would have gone Fournette, but can't ever complain with Brady.
Yeah, look, all right. Side hero of the week to Leonard Fournette. He also played awesome. Zero of the week. Go ahead.
I mean, what are we doing here? So nowhere last week in our debate did I express confidence in Cam Newton. I thought it was a great matchup for the defense. The defense.
You said you liked him against the blitz.
No, I said I thought he would be able to just dump it off to McCaffrey. Little did I know he couldn't hit a broadside of a barn from 2 feet away. It just seems like the game's too fast for him right now. He was missing guys, not even close. And what did he finish? 5 for 21. I mean, I
almost had more completions to the Dolphins defenders than he did to the Panthers receivers.
There's really nothing. I don't think there's a word I could say to describe how bad of a performance it was. So we're just calling him the zero of the week.
I have a fun Cam Newton stat for you. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
So EPA per pass attempt, it's a metric that basically measures the expected points added per pass for each quarterback in the NFL. Who do you think had a higher EPA per attempt last week? Cam Newton against the Dolphins or me sitting on my couch?
I'm going to guess Newton was like -10. So I would say you.
Yes. Cam Newton was -0.12 points expected added per drop back. So every time he dropped back to pass, the Panthers lost 0.12 points per drop back. So 20
was his total then? I
think it was like -2.5 because he was pulled early or whatever. But like for reference, it was only like 3 quarterbacks in the league that were a negative. Like it's pretty bad to be a negative. So I did better sitting on my couch for the Panthers than Cam Newton did playing quarterback.
Good week for you.
My zero of the week. I don't know how you could go anywhere else than Jalen Reagor. My goodness, I don't even know what you can say at this point. Like just. First he drops the deep ball down the sidelines. Then you're like, all right, it was kind of a tough catch. He was jumping, acrobatic, whatever. No. But the second one, it just hits him right in the hands. And you just see all of your Eagles bets, all of your Eagles fandom falling right before you. And then you get to go on Twitter and get reminded 8 billion times about how the Eagles selected him over Justin Jefferson. And you literally had the Vikings draft room laughing at the Eagles for taking. It's such a disaster. Get this bum off the field. Give me Quez Watkins. Give me Arcega-Whiteside. Give me anybody over Jalen Reagor right now.
Yes, please. Anyone.
All right. That'll conclude our recap of the week. Did you have any tips of the week for the people?
I did not have any tips this week.
I did have a tip.
All right. What do we got?
Nothing earth-shattering or groundbreaking here, but Jeff's jumbled jargon opinion on sports betting of the week is going to be around team totals. Something that I've noticed recently, mostly with a lot of the higher team totals. Like this week, I was looking at like Rams team total, Bucks team total. I've seen some of them have a discrepancy between the over team touchdowns and over points. So a lot of times you'll see like the Bucks team totals like over 29.5 points at -110. But you can get over 3.5 touchdowns for like -120. It's like a very similar price. And it's just a different way to attack the team total. And I feel like it's probably a little bit safer because you figure if the Bucks need to get 30 points, like it's very difficult for them to get there unless they're getting 4 touchdowns. And it also protects you against a missed point. If you have an over 28.5 and whatever, the team misses an extra point or something, it loses the bet. On the over team touchdowns, the extra points don't matter. The 2-point conversions don't matter. So just something to look at if you're betting these higher team totals. Look at the over touchdowns as well as the total points.
I like it.
All right, that'll wrap it up for week 12. Now we can move onward and upward to week 13. Teams on a bye this week. The Panthers, the Browns, the Packers, and the Titans will not be part of this discussion. So with that, we will take it over to Thursday Night Football. Saints are somewhere between 4 and 4.5 point home dogs against the Dallas Cowboys. Over under here is 47.5. Cowboys have been slipping a bit lately, losing to a pretty bad Raiders team at home on Thanksgiving. The Saints have now lost 4 in a row and honestly weren't even that competitive in 3 of them. So both these teams need this game bad. Do have a bunch of injuries and weird COVID situations. Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys head coach, has COVID. So it's going to be Ben McAdoo manning the sidelines for the Cowboys. It sounds like CeeDee Lamb's definitely going to be back in. Amari Cooper is expected to be back, but I don't think he's officially been ruled in. Ezekiel Elliott was like apparently expected to get his workload decreased. And then all of a sudden now he's like going to get every carry. So I think he's going to be fine. And then on the Saints side, it still sounds like Alvin Kamara is still dealing with this injury. I thought he was going to be 100% back after last week. It sounded like he was close. But I saw some Saints beat reporters earlier today saying there's a realistic possibility that he doesn't play. So if you are in on the Saints, you're probably going to have to monitor that. And then at quarterback for the Saints, it's going to be Taysom Hill overcoming his ankle injury, overtaking Trevor Siemian. Finally, as you said, that's enough talking from me. Do you have a play on this game?
Yeah, so I took the Saints at +6 earlier in the week when the COVID news first broke.
That was before the Cowboys COVID news.
Yeah, the Cowboys COVID news. So I figured once that came out that there was going to be movement. I figured at least a 1.5. So, I haven't had any luck with closing line value this year. Every time I get good value, we know it loses, but I still feel good at +6 here. The Saints, despite some recent struggles, they still have the number 5 defense in terms of DVOA. I think they're still going to give the Cowboys trouble running the ball, who have been top 5 running the ball for most of the year. They've dropped all the way down to 20th in DVOA, believe it or not. The Cowboys, who were tearing it up on the ground, have been struggling. This offense as a whole has been struggling. They put up points last week, obviously, but against the Chiefs, they didn't do anything. Broncos, they didn't do anything. So, it seems like both sides of the ball at this point, along with most teams in the league, you just don't know what you're getting with this Dallas team. They looked like Super Bowl contenders early in the season, and now they've taken just huge steps back. I don't know. Obviously, they've been beaten down by a few injuries and stuff. And I just think Taysom Hill is a huge X factor here. I really do. They've been missing some element on this offense with Siemian. I think Hill running the ball. I don't think you're losing a ton throwing the ball with Hill, and I think we can agree on that. And him running the ball just adds a whole nother element, especially if Kamara is still out. Amari Cooper probably is going to be back, but I can't imagine he's in great game shape right now. I wouldn't see him even playing more than 60% of the snaps. Apparently, he did get hit pretty hard by COVID. Dallas just got lit up by a Raiders team who in the previous 3 weeks, we talked about it last week, didn't score over 16 points against 3 of the bottom 10 defenses in the league. So as bad as the Saints have been, I see them being able to have some success on this Cowboys team, maybe be able to run the ball on them and keep the offense off the field. So, 6 points, I feel great here. Now that Taysom is confirmed as a starter, I would lean them at 4.5. I wouldn't be as thrilled, obviously, but if I'm playing it right now at 4.5, I would still take the Saints at home here.
So are you worried? So if Kamara doesn't play, you're obviously not going to cash out, but you're just probably not quite as confident.
What's Ingram's status?
I believe Ingram should be fine. So, it's not a huge downgrade going from Kamara to Ingram. Obviously, you'd love Kamara out there, but at least they have Ingram, and it's not going to be Tony Jones running for 0.5 yards a carry again.
I'm fine with it. Just, the Cowboys are very exploitable on the ground. And if you have Taysom back there and Ingram back there, that's enough to take advantage on the ground. So, Kamara or not, as long as Ingram's in there, as long as we have Taysom in there, I'm fine taking 4.5.
Okay. I think I'm going to pass right now on the side. I haven't really gotten a number I loved on either teams. I will say I was looking at some of Taysom Hill numbers from last year when he played. He had 4 starts last season. Team went 3-1. A lot of that success was from the defense. I think they only allowed 13 points per game over those 4. One of them was the disastrous Broncos game where they had to start Kendall Hinton at quarterback because they had no active quarterbacks on the roster. But Hill played pretty fine. But for right now, this is going to be a pass for me. I don't really love this anywhere between like 3.5 and 6.5. It's just kind of like a dead range for me. And I don't expect any major line movement. So
I think COVID issues, it's McCarthy. I know there was 5 other guys. I'm not exactly sure who they were, but this does have impacts on a team. You're missing your head coach. You can say what you want about Mike McCarthy. Yeah, he's not the greatest coach, but you're just
upgrade.
You're just throwing Ben McAdoo out there, who I didn't even know he was on the Dallas staff. This guy's just been under the radar.
He's the secret weapon.
Yeah. So, he's just, obviously, he's not going to be involved in the play calling. Kellen Moore's still going to be doing that, but I think it still has somewhat of an impact. And I think, you saw a quick line movement from 6 to 4.5 when the news broke. And so I think that does reflect it, that there is an impact.
I think that was an overreaction, but we'll see. Player props here. Do you have any props in this game? I had 3 that stood out to me.
Yeah, so the only one I haven't right now, well, I have 2, and I'll let you talk about the other one because you brought it to my attention, but was CeeDee Lamb over 60.5 receiving yards. With Cooper supposed to play now, whether he's at full strength or not, it's still going to draw some coverage away from CeeDee Lamb. If you're worried about him getting some Marshawn Lattimore, Lamb does line up in the slot for 20% of his routes where Lattimore usually stays on the outside. If Cooper's there, I wouldn't imagine he would be shadowing Lamb. Maybe he does, but Devontae Smith went over 60 yards against Lattimore.
Steph Diggs last week went 7 for 74.
Yeah, Steph Diggs went over. So, Lattimore's a great cornerback, but 60 yards is pretty low for Lamb, whose totals have been in the upper 60s and 70s the entire season. I know he's had a down stretch here and there, but, as good as the Saints rush defense is, I talked about that and how the Cowboys have been struggling to run recently. I like them to have to throw the ball here.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. I think I even like it more with Cooper in there. I just feel like he helps the entire offense. He'll create more space for everybody. So I am in on that. Would we like to make CeeDee Lamb over 60.5 an official podcast play?
Yes, we would.
All right. I think I would play it up to like 65.5. I think there's some room.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
All right. 2 other plays for me, both going to be on Taysom Hill. I will talk about him scoring a touchdown later in the podcast. That's going to be one of my favorite longer shots of the week. Taysom Hill touchdown currently plus 275 on DraftKings. Ooh. I would get that in now. I think that price is a little bit hefty. Did you see where Taysom Hill's rushing yards opened at? This came out in probably the last 20 minutes.
30.5, something. So what it was?
Yes,
30.5.
I thought, honestly, this was one of the easiest bets I've made all week. Obviously, you have Taysom Hill battling through an ankle injury, but we know this dude is tough as nails. I'm under the assumption that if he's starting, he's healthy. He was a full participant in practice all week. We've heard Sean Payton kind of make his statements every time he's talked about the starting quarterback. We're going to make sure the ankle holds up, and then we'll announce him the starter, all that stuff. In 4 starts last season, Taysom Hill ran for at least 33 yards in all 4 of them. He went 44, 49, 83, and 33. He's averaged 5.3 yards per carry over the last 2 seasons. The Saints wide receivers suck, so I'm expecting them to have some trouble getting open, leading to more pocket collapsing. Taysom Hill breaks away, and I just think his running adds a totally dynamic element to this offense. They're going to need him. I was honestly expecting this to open in the low 40s, so I think 30.5 is an absolute steal on Taysom Hill.
It is already up to 32.5.
It's because I bet so much on it. Are you interested in that play? Would you like to make that an official podcast play, or are you worried about the ankle injury a little bit?
I am slightly concerned about the ankle. I could see them leaning heavily on Ingram. It is a low number. I'm with you. Do I want to make it an official play? Yeah, we can make it. Your
call.
You're excited.
All right,
you're excited
stamp it.
You're excited about it. We can do it.
I'm pumped.
I'm I don't know if I'm even going to play it now because I'm just mad I missed the 30.5, but
yeah, I hate it when that happens. I'm the
it's
same way.
the
If I
worst.
miss the
Yeah,
best
it's the
number, I
worst.
just.
But we got to make
All
30.
right.
We'll make 32.5 the official play though, because we're
That's
recording
fine.
at 32.5.
All right, 32.5, and then the CD Lamb number, 2 official plays in the Thursday night game. Those were all the props that I had.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, let's go on to Sunday. Let's go to the NFC South. Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 11-point home dogs. Over under here is 50.5. Falcons with a nice little bounce back win there of the Jaguars last week. Bucs win again as well. These two teams played back in week 2. It was actually a pretty close game for most of the time. The Bucs ended up with 2 pick sixes late. They ended up winning 48-25 and covered the 12.5-point spread. For Atlanta, I think it's very clear that this offense runs through Cordero Patterson. This dude is literally everything for them. He's the team's best running back by a mile. He's the team's best wide receiver as a mile. It's super crazy. I think it's very curious to see how Tampa is going to try and defend him. Patterson only had 11 rush yards in their prior meeting, but he did go 5 for 58 and 1 through the air. We know you can't really run on the Bucs, so I would expect Patterson to be used heavily in the passing game. And I do think the Falcons can have some success here with him in the lineup. I'm kind of leaning towards the Falcons here. I was really hoping this might get steamed up to like 12 and a half, at which point I would jump in. I'm holding off for now, but I am looking at the Falcons here. I wouldn't bet the Bucs at over 10. I'm going to wait and see what this does on Sunday and see if I can get the Falcons at a pretty high number to keep it close.
Yeah, the Bucs beat the Falcons earlier in the season 48-25, but that score does not, that doesn't reflect the game. This was like a 1-score game early in the fourth quarter.
I literally just said this like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, sorry. Sometimes I tune you out.
Just ignore everything I say.
Forget what he said. Just listen to what I say. Don't listen to him. Well, look, Brady's been, I kind of said it last week. He didn't play great. He's been making, it seems like 1 or 2 uncharacteristic throws each week that have kind of led to some turnovers. I have him at 6th in overall DVOA right now, but the turnovers are playing a huge factor in that they couldn't get off the field last week against the Colts. If it was, the Colts turned the ball over 5 times and they still could have won that game. This, it seemed like every 3rd and long, they were just, converting every single time. And then they just got gifted these fumbles, interceptions. So, I'm with you. I would lean the Falcons here. And I actually am, I haven't been, but I'm starting to get a little concerned about this Bucs team long-term. I know the offense is going to be there. I know Brady's going to be there, but at some point this defense is just, how many points would the Colts have scored last week if they didn't turn the ball over? They would have scored probably close to 50 points.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not as concerned about the Bucs long-term as you are. I still think they're the best team in the league. But we have talked about their offense struggling a little bit without Antonio Brown, and we did get news that he's going to be out for definitely this game, probably the next game as well. So I think that's another thing that bodes well for the Falcons. Do you have any player props in this game? I had a few written down.
No, I was going to look at Kyle Pitts under this week after we were
because he sucks.
Because they don't use him, but they kind of made the adjustment. He's down in the mid 50s now, so I probably wouldn't touch it. So I got nothing right now.
I might play it just out of spite.
Yeah, that was my God.
Hate that guy. The 2 plays that I had, the one is not posted yet. Said it last week, came through again. Mike Davis unders. They posted him last week at 25.5 rush yards. Literally can't get low enough. He had 5 carries for 16 yards. We know this Tampa D line is straight up nasty. So if they give me any number on Mike Davis with a 2 in front of it, unless it's actually the number 2, if it's 20 or anything above,
I might still take it
under 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they give you a line in the 20s for Mike Davis, easy under. And then the other one I was going to look at was Cordero Patterson. His receiving line opened up at 37.5. I am supremely confident. Like I just said, the Falcons are not going to be able to run the ball against this Tampa front. I'm expecting them to be playing from behind because I don't think their defense is going to be able to get a ton of stops on Brady. So I think the offense runs through Patterson. I think they're going to give him 8 or 9 targets despite having some good linebackers. Tampa actually ranks 20th against opposing running backs in the passing game. And like I said earlier, we saw him go for 5, 58 and 1 in week 2. So I think Patterson at 37.5 is a pretty good number.
I like that.
Okay. Nothing on the Bucs side here.
No.
All right. Let's move on to our next game. Let's go Colts and Texans. AFC South. Texans going to be 8.5 point home underdogs. The over under is 45.5. Indianapolis Colts, obviously, as we just said, lost to the Bucs. Texans lost to the Jets. Colts actually have the best point differential in the league for any team not currently over 500. They are 6-6 on the year with a plus 57 point differential. The next closest team in this category is our Philadelphia Eagles at plus 31. The Colts did beat the Texans 31-3 back in week 6. That game was with Davis Mills at quarterback. So I think, Tyrod's definitely an upgrade there. But I think this one sets up pretty well for the Colts. The Texans ranked 25th in DVOA against the run. The Colts offensive line is number 2 in the league in run blocking, and the Texans D line is bottom 5 in adjusted line yards. So I think you have another smash spot for Jonathan Taylor. I haven't laid the 8.5 with the Colts. This is one of my favorite teaser legs on the board. I am incredibly confident they win the game. If I had to bet the side, I would lay it with the Colts. I just haven't because I like them in teasers a little bit more. Do you have any play here on the side or total?
Yeah, well, you kind of touched on it with the point differential. This Colts team is probably the best 500 team that I can remember recently. I mean, they are better than, they could be atop the AFC right now, and they're probably in the top 3 best teams in the AFC.
Them and the Vikings can play in the Super Bowl of really good teams that don't win games.
It's unbelievable. I really do think this Colts team is a great team. I think their defense is underrated when they're fully healthy. If they just lean on Taylor and don't do what they did last week. I got to vet this stat, but I heard the Colts threw 27 straight passes last week. I mean, that is just
what?
That is unbelievable. I mean, Carson Wentz throws over 40 pass attempts, and it's not like they weren't they got off to a rough start on the ground, but you saw the last drive they scored on, they just handed it to Taylor the entire drive, and they went right down the field. He only ended up with 16 carries. I mean, if you give Taylor 25 to 30 carries in that game, they probably win, like we said, with these 5 turnovers. They outplayed the Bucs last week. Like you said, they dominated the Texans early in the year. And at this point, the way Tyrod's playing, how much of an upgrade is he from Davis Mills? His first 3 games back, we saw him turn the ball over 4 times against the Dolphins, come back from a bye. Yeah, they beat the Titans, but they had less than 200 yards on offense. And then last week, they had 202 yards. So this offense, they can't run the ball. They give a combined 25 carries to David Johnson, Rex Burkhead for an average of like 1.7 yards per carry every week. And then you have the Colts with a top 3 run defense. Taylor hasn't been able to get his connection back with Cooks that we saw in week 1. So I don't know what to make of this team right now. Like you said, they should be able to just pound it down their throats, dominate this game. Probably my favorite teaser leg of the week, as long as it holds at 8.5 right now, but haven't laid the points. I would lean the Colts laying the points here. They're just such a superior team.
Yeah, I think a big theme this week that we will definitely touch on as we go through is this is a great week for teasers. So we'll definitely mention all of our favorite teaser spots as we go. There's a lot of teams favored between that 7.5, 8.5 range for underdogs by, 2.5 points, something like that.
And it's a week where, I usually try and hop on some of these underdogs, but, I feel pretty good about a lot of these 7-point favorites winning outright, 7 to 8 point favorites. So it's a weird week where I don't love any of these bigger underdogs like I have in past weeks.
Yeah, I agree. This is another one where I'm going to play the Colts team total over. They have been, so currently their team total is 27.5 and it's minus 110. But you can get over 3.5 touchdowns for plus 125 on DraftKings right now. So this is one of these ones where I'm talking about. If the Colts are going to get over 27.5 points, the chance they do that and don't score 4 touchdowns means they're kicking 3 or 4 field goals, which is very unlikely. And the odds, it's a 35-point difference. You're going from minus 110 to plus 125. So I think that's a really good plus money play. They've been over that number in 6 of their last 7 games. And in the games where they've been favored by more than a touchdown, they scored 23 versus the Jags in a game where they basically went up early and fell asleep. And then 31 against the Texans, 45 against the Jets. So I like the Colts to put up 30 plus here.
All right.
Player props for you in this game.
If you're giving me Taylor anything under 90, I'll take it.
I was going to say
maybe 100, honestly.
I think we're in Derrick Henry.
I was just going to say, does he get the Derrick Henry treatment at this point?
He's got to be.
I guess he has to. So yeah, that's more of a curiosity to see where his line opens up. But yeah, I guess I'd be comfortable under 100 yards at this point.
I feel like you could even create a minus 110 bet with Taylor. Maybe do score a touchdown, Colts win, and like 70 rush yards, like some kind of combination. Like we know Jonathan Taylor is going to smash. Maybe we don't want to play him like over 110.5. You could probably create something with that variation. He scored a touchdown like 9 straight games. Like I like Taylor a lot this week. I think we can find a way to make that work.
And then if we get like Burkhead and Johnson in the 30s like they were last week, if they're splitting carries like they are, I wouldn't be opposed to taking the under on them because, you know, they're struggling to run the ball against pretty much everyone right now. And now you're going against the Colts run defense. So I wouldn't be opposed if they're in the mid 30s to take their unders. And
it doesn't even matter how many attempts Rex Burkhead gets.
No, exactly.
He could literally get 30 carries. He still won't break 40 yards. Like it's actually impossible.
Yeah.
So. The only other guy I was going to mention, T.Y. Hilton. I'm going to look at him. Last week, he was at 38.5. I actually played his under and cashed that. If he's anywhere in the high 30s, even the low 40s, I think I'd probably bet his over. For some reason, T.Y. Hilton just destroys the Houston Texans. His last 4 seasons, 4 for 80, 11 for 110, 6 for 71. He did have a 3 for 18 performance, then 6 for 74, 6 for 115, and 12 for 199. So he's averaging 7 catches and 95 yards against the Texans in the last 4 seasons. I don't know what it is about this team. I don't know if it's the dome. I don't know if it's the division matchup, but he loves killing the Houston Texans. So look at T.Y. Hilton this week. All right, next game. Let's go to the Vikings and the Lions. Another divisional game. Lions are 7-point home underdogs. Over under is 47.5. Lions lost yet another close game that went down to the wire. The Vikings lost yet another 1-score game. And as I mentioned on the podcast a few weeks ago, they kept their streak alive of having a lead of at least 7 points in every single game and still being below 500. So
unbelievable. That's one of the more unbelievable stats.
It's impossible.
We're in week 13 now, and they've led by 7 points in every single game, and they're below 500. I mean, I don't even know what to make of that.
Injuries here. Couple running back injuries. Dalvin Cook is going to be out for this game, so it's going to be Alexander Mattison. I don't really think that's a big downgrade. Madison's been fine filling in for Cook. We actually saw him in that week 5 matchup where the Vikings won 19-17 with the last second field goal. On the Lions side, probably a more impactful injury. DeAndre Swift is going to be out with a shoulder sprain. I don't think it's been officially confirmed, but it sounds like he's going to be out at least a week.
It was confirmed.
Okay. All right. I saw like doubtful, but okay. All right. So that's going to be confirmed. Do you have a play on the side or total here? Vikings, Lions, Vikings -7.
Well, you can't ever lay this many points with the Vikings. It doesn't matter the matchup. You just, at this point, it's not even a joke anymore. You can't lay 7 points. Another team I feel really good about in teasers. The Vikings are backs against the wall right now. They need wins, and you have an inferior opponent here. I expect them to come in and take care of business. I'm not opposed to taking a Lions team total under 19.5. We hit the under 20 last week. They still haven't scored 20 points since week 1. And now you have no DeAndre Swift, who is pretty much, their only main threat on offense. I know you have Hawkinson, but Swift's a massive loss to this offense. Vikings and teasers, and I would look Lions team total.
Okay. I agree with that. Definitely like Vikings and teasers. One of my favorite teaser legs on the board. I do have a couple player props here that I'm going to be looking at. Alexander Mattison rush yards, definitely going to be all over this. I think I'd take this up to like 79.5, maybe. We'll see where it opens. He went 25 for 113 against Detroit back in week 5, also rushed for 112 yards in his other start against the Seahawks. I think he's basically Dalvin Cook, but his name is Alexander Mattison.
Yeah, they're not scared to give him the ball when he's in there. We've seen it over the last few seasons. Dalvin misses a couple games every year, and Madison always comes in and picks up right where Dalvin left off. So, if we get somewhere in the 70s with him, I'll be thrilled about that.
Yeah, it's not one of those situations where they go with the committee of running backs. Basically, just Madison will play 85% of the snaps and get all the carries.
Yeah.
On the Lions side, I'm going to look at Jamal Williams' rush yards. We'll see where that line opens at. The Vikings defense really struggles against the run. The Lions actually have a slight advantage in the trenches. The Vikings are going to be likely missing Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter, and Dalvin Tomlinson from their D-line, so they're pretty banged up there. And Williams went 15 for 65 against a decent Bears defense last week when Swift went down in the second quarter. So the only slight concern would be game script, but I don't think that we're really worried about the Vikings pulling ahead by 20 points and the Lions not being able to come back. So I think they're going to have to try and give Williams the ball on the ground because they don't really have anywhere else to move the ball with their receiving core right now.
Yeah, I was going to look Williams in the passing game, actually, see what his receptions and yards opened
Maybe even
up
take
at.
both. Just do like a pass
'Cause-
plus rush yards.
Yeah, because, I mean, obviously
Or rush plus receiving. Sorry.
Swift's a different type of running back, but, Williams is going to come right in there. He's a capable pass catcher, and he's still going to be that, underneath guy for Goff. So if you get, 3.5 receptions with good odds or somewhere in the mid-20s receiving yards, I would like that.
Okay. Last prop for me here, Adam Thielen touchdown. Literally just bet this dude to score every week. I think I've had him a couple weeks in a row now. Every time it's at plus money, it's just an auto play. Last week, he was actually priced at plus 145, which I thought was an absolute steal. He has touchdowns in 5 of his last 6 games and is currently tied for the league with 10 receiving touchdowns on the season. He's the guy in the red zone. When they get down there, Kirk Cousins looks his way early and often. And yeah, I think Thielen at plus 120, plus 110, anything plus money, I'm going to be on that again.
Like that.
All right. If that is all we have to say, we will move on to the Eagles and the Jets. Jets are 7-point home underdogs. Over under is 45 here. We all know how the Eagles game last week went. They gave away the game to the Giants at the final minute. Jets finally got a win over the lowly Texans. We do have some injuries here. Eagles backfield, we're not really sure who's going to be in there. Boston Scott is definitely going to be available, but we're not sure on the status of Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders. Also not sure on the status of Jalen Hurts. Apparently he's dealing with an ankle injury that he suffered during the Giants game. I don't know how that's possible when the dude rushed for 77 yards and was running around like a madman the entire game. So I didn't see any ankle injury, but apparently there's a possibility that Gardner Minshew starts. So
Hurts said he's good to go.
All right. That's good to hear.
So,
that's good to hear. On the Jets side, it sounds like Zach Wilson's also dealing with a slight injury, but he's expected to play. And then Corey Davis is going to be questionable. I've already bet the Eagles here. I bet them in a couple teasers. That was before the Hurts news even dropped. So I'm really hoping that he plays. Honestly, even if Minshew is there, literally just drop back and hand the ball off 50 times and the Eagles should win this game easily. The Jets run defense is abysmal. Like you said earlier against the Giants, if the Eagles literally just hand the ball off on every single play here, I think they'll win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's all they need to do. And yeah, I also put Eagles in a couple teasers, and regardless of who's at quarterback, just don't overcomplicate things. Just hand the ball off. Jets are 30th against the rush in DVOA. And, the Eagles rushed for 180 yards last week. So people probably see the box score, why these dudes complain they didn't run the ball. They didn't run it. They threw they were driving down the field and then they'd come out and throw 3 passes the next 3 plays. It's like when you watch the game, it's like there's no reason Hurts or who's ever on the center needs to throw over 20 passes in the game. Stop throwing these stupid screen passes to the outside to Jalen Reagor and Quez Watkins. Just let your big, strong offensive line dominate against this horrible defense. Go right down the field, take care of business, and get out of there.
Their offensive line is incredible. The running lanes that they're opening, Kelsey's 10 yards downfield, Mailata's pancaking a dude on the left. It's incredible to watch. Lane Johnson's taking some guy to the sidelines. It's amazing. Just run the damn ball.
Yeah, the only team who can beat the Eagles in this game is the Eagles, like they did last week.
Yeah, very true. Would you lay it with the Eagles at 7 if Hurts is playing?
Yeah, if Hurts is in, I would lay the 7. I don't think I'd go over 7, but yeah, I have no problem with it. They should take care of it. And the Eagles defense has stepped up. But Zach Wilson stinks. There's nothing to be scared of on this Jets offense. So this should be a blowout win coming off that loss last week. And they're on the road, but they're playing in the same stadium as last week. It's just in New York, so no big deal there.
The little New Jersey back-to-back games. I'm definitely going to be looking at Eagles running back overs for props. Unfortunately, it's kind of impossible to decide on what the numbers are going to be, what we would play. We got to know who's in, who's playing, what the rotation is going to be look like. Hopefully we get some clarity in the backfield and it's not like there's 4 guys out there. It's Gainwell, Howard, Sanders, and Boston Scott. And you're kind of just we have no idea who's going to get carries. Hopefully some of these guys are out so we get some clarity. But there's a very good chance that we'll end up with some Eagles running back overs on thy prop sheet.
And if they post a line for Jalen Reagor, which they do every week, so I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, I'm not opposed to taking the under. I can't imagine he'll be too involved in the game plan after last week, and then factor in that, what we're saying is the Eagles shouldn't have to pass at all. So even before he went over his total last week, but before that, I think a few games in a row he hadn't gone over.
I was pissed. I've gone under his total 3 weeks in a row, and last week he blows the game for us and still goes over his total.
So what was his total at last week then?
18.5.
Yeah. So if you get anything around that where he's been, and maybe since he hit the over last week, we'll get something around that. I'm fine taking the under there.
100%. All right, let's move on to another game lined around a touchdown favorite, like everyone seems to be. The Cardinals and the Bears. The Bears are 7.5-point home underdogs. Over under is 45.5. Cardinals are coming off the bye. Bears played on Thanksgiving, so no real rest advantage there. We are hoping to get Kyler Murray back from injury. I think everyone kind of assumed he was going to be back. Then all of a sudden, Cliff Kingsbury comes out and says, we're planning on it. We're hoping, but it's not official yet. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. He's kind of still up in the air. And then on the Bears, I'm assuming it's going to be Andy Dalton again. I would expect them to keep Fields out for at least one more week with a rib injury, and then no real updates on Allen Robinson if he's going to play. What do you got here on the Cardinals and Bears?
Yeah, I would expect Murray and Hopkins to be in there.
If they're not ready now, are they just done for the season?
So you're coming off a bye. Murray's been out for what? It's been a month now, right?
At least.
So I expect them to be back there. I'm not really concerned from that point. I already threw the Cardinals in a couple teasers. Bears are an absolute mess right now. They squeaked by the Lions last week, but my God, it was just, there was no positive takeaway for me for that game. And I was on the Bears. I lost the cover by a point. 25th in overall DVOA. This is a team that's kind of been known for their defense, but it's just, it doesn't grade out well, hasn't been great all season. Cardinals have been great. And even outside of one dud game against the Panthers without Murray, they've been great. So this is all Cardinals here. Like I said, love them in teasers. If Murray's in there, it's another one where I'm probably not going to lay the points, but I would lean laying the points with the Cardinals at 7.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Love the Cardinals and teasers. If Kyler's in and we can get a flat 7, I think I'm going to lay with Cardinals. If it's 7.5 or 8, I'll probably just stick to the teasers. But, no doubt in my mind, the Cardinals are going to win this game. They're the better team on offense, better team on defense. And I think Kyler is going to look good in his return from injury. Did you have any player props you'll be looking for in this game as we await for them to be posted?
No, actually nothing here.
All right, I have 2 props I'm going to be looking for in this game. First off, let's go Darnell Mooney over receiving yards. That was something we talked about last week. In 2 starts with no Allen Robinson, he has 24 total targets, only 10 catches, so not a super high catch rate, but 244 yards and a touchdown. Just absolutely smashing. I think it's also been really encouraging seeing him getting targets all over the field. Typically, he's been a guy that's mostly getting these deep bomb, high variance, high ADOT targets. We've seen him involved on more like slant routes, curls, stuff around the line of scrimmage. And the Cardinals are one of the better teams in the league at defending the deep pass. So I think if Robinson is out, you're probably going to see Mooney in the low 60s. I would go over there. If Robinson's in, maybe you get Mooney in the mid 50s. And honestly, he's been the better receiver on this team all season long. And I think he had a good connection with Dalton last week. So I like Mooney over receiving yards there.
I don't love the Mooney play. I don't see the Bears offense just as a whole. It's one of those matchups where, they barely did anything against the Lions. I feel the Cardinals defense, it was been a top 10 defense all season. I could see kind of completely shutting them down, but that's just my thoughts on it.
Well, the week before, didn't they play? They played the Ravens the week before. I mean, they're not like an amazing defense, but he torched them for 120 yards.
Yeah, and the Ravens did their weekly get beat on a big play as they do every week.
All right. No love for Mooney from this guy. Second prop. Let's see if I can get some love on this one. Let's look at a James Conner touchdown. We're going to see what the odds are. I'm looking for minus 130 or better. You could also add in a Cardinals win here. So maybe you do like Conner anytime touchdown and the Cardinals to win. Maybe you can get that around minus 110. All James Conner has done is score a touchdown in 8 of his last 9 games, including 2 multi-touchdown games over that stretch. Kyler Murray just really isn't running the ball like we've seen in the past few years. He's coming off an injury. As soon as this team gets into the red zone, it's all Conner. Chase Edmonds is still going to be out. So I think we can confidently predict the Cardinals for 3 to 4 touchdowns this week. And I see no reason why James Conner doesn't get at least 1 or 2 of them. I still don't understand why they're not pricing this guy in the minus 200 range when he's second in the league in touchdowns.
I'm curious to see where Kyler's rush yards do open up. I mean, would you be opposed to taking an under at 25.5 or,
No, I feel like I did that the game before his injury. We got him in the mid-20s and took the under because he really hadn't been running the ball. So, yeah, I definitely like that approach.
Yeah. And if this plays out like, a larger spread game where they are comfortably ahead and they can just hand it to James Conner and not put too much stress on Kyler in his first game back, I can't see him taking off too much. I mean, you obviously worry about him breaking off one long run.
Right. All it takes is one with his speed. But
I mean, the way he hasn't been running all season, I wouldn't be opposed to taking it under in that range.
Yeah, definitely see where he opens up. If we get a Kyler is still good at running the ball number, take the under in the mid-20s. Next game on the docket, Chargers and the Bengals. Bengals are 3 to 3.5 point home favorites, depending on where you're looking. Over under is going to be 50.5. Last week, the Chargers put up 13 points against a league average Broncos defense dealing with some injuries in their front seven. Lost the game by double digits to Drew Lock. On the other hand, all the Bengals did was beat the brakes off their division rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 41-10. So you're probably thinking to yourself, oh man, the Bengals are going to roll this pathetic Chargers team. You know what I say? Not so fast. I love the Chargers in this game. I bet them at +3. Found a +3.5, and I added more to it. I think this is a prime example of a buy low on the Chargers and a sell high on the Bengals. We've kind of seen this Chargers team ping pong back and forth all year. They lose to the Cowboys. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Browns. They get destroyed by the Ravens. They beat the Steelers. Now they lose to the Broncos. It just feels like an inconsistent team, but I think they're going to show up in a big way this week. They need the game like blood. Love the Chargers in this spot. Anything over 3, I am all in on Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers.
Yeah, this is, I got it at 3.5 as well. It's a gross overreaction to last week. These teams, if anything, are dead even teams. Chargers are 16th in overall DVOA, Bengals are 18th. So, giving over a field goal in teams that are right there, and the Chargers are actually a couple spots higher. I don't know, man. Yeah, you worry about the Bengals being able to just run the ball with Mixon like they did last week, but we've seen this Chargers offense, what they're capable of, and this Bengals defense I've touched on a couple times this year. They've overperformed, and I think the Chargers can have success against this defense. There's nothing special about them. They don't have any lockdown corners. The pass rush isn't great, and again, this Cincinnati offensive line, if you get Burrow in situations where he has to pass, they're 31st in pass block win rate. So I like Bosa and them being able to get pressure off the edge. It's just, again, this is, the Bengals went in and blew out the Steelers last week, but that was Big Ben. It was, they look great on offense, but they really didn't have to do much. It was just, hey, hand the ball to Mixon, let him run. Big Ben's going to give it right back to us. We'll get a pick 6. It was, I don't know. This is just all Chargers for me. I'm with you here. I absolutely love, 3.5 to me just seems like an absolute steal here.
Yeah, I honestly expected this game to be 1.5 or 2 when I was making my numbers this week. So over 3 was just like shocking.
I don't know how you can say the Bengals are 3.5 points better than the Chargers. I know there's home field here, but I mean, come on, this is a crazy number.
I agree. Also, keep an eye on the weather in this game. Didn't see any real concerns in the weather report right now, but it is still a game in Cincinnati in December. So if we do get any weather concerns, maybe you look at an under here. We have a total at 50.5. We know Cincinnati wants to try and establish the run game. They play at the second slowest pace in the league. So if we do get any weather concerns, I think the under could be in play here once we get later in the week. Did you have any prop looks in this game? We do have some lines posted for this one, actually.
See if I go ahead. Do you have any props? I'm going to pull them.
Yes, I have 2 of them. First one for me, CJ Uzomah under receiving yards. He opened at 20.5 on DraftKings. To be honest, I'm looking for a little bit higher. I was looking for 22.5, so I'm going to wait till this is posted on FanDuel and MGM and Fox Bet and see what I can find. Uzomah had a few big 2-touchdown games early this year, but he really hasn't been that involved in the offense. Over the last 4 games, he's averaging 4 targets, only has a high of 33 yards. He actually has back-to-back games of only 9 receiving yards. And just to be totally transparent, like the Chargers have a very good pass defense, but they actually haven't been great against opposing tight ends. The reason I like this play is because we know the Bengals are going to try and establish the run. They're going to try and get Mixon going. The Chargers don't have a great run D. And the problem for Uzomah is the Bengals have 3 legitimate wide receivers. When you have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd all out there, Uzomah is going to be the 4th option on every passing play. So I think this is a good under. I had it last week at 27.5. Like I said, he only got 9 yards of cash pretty easily. So if we can find this 22.5 or higher, that's going to be a play for me. And then my second look here, and then I'll bring you in, Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. This opened at -150. This is another one. I'm going to see if I can find like a -130, -135. But Keenan's been smashing targets since the bye week, 11, 13, 11, 13, 10. Catches since the bye week, 6, 12, 8, 9, 7. I rest my case.
Yeah, we saw Mike Williams early in the season kind of uncharacteristically become a target monster for this team, and you're just kind of waiting for that to shift to Keenan Allen. And it has. So he's clearly the superior receiver on the team. I'm looking at a Jamar Chase number here, and I was on his over last week.
I'm not doing it anymore.
No, I'm talking about the under. So I picked the wrong guy. I picked the wrong guy last week. T. Higgins went off. So, but the type of defense the Chargers play, you said it, they're great against the pass. They play this defense where they limit the big plays. Jamar Chase hasn't hit. He's at 64.5. He hasn't gone over in the last 4 games. The most yards he's had is 49. Other than that, he's been in the 30s. That includes a game where he had 13 targets and only 6 catches for 49 yards. So, it's a scary play, but I don't hate it. With we're not getting anything. It was 65.5 last week, and now we're only at 64.5 after his 4th down game in a row. So.
Honestly, I feel like that's a play you could even wait and it might even get steamed up. Like, especially some of these unders on big name players. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a 67 or 68.5 when we get closer to game time. And it just kind of feels like if Chase doesn't connect on one of these deep bombs, he's not going over his receiving total. He just doesn't get enough other targets that he's catching on. And like you said, the Chargers are top 5 in the league at defending the deep pass.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I like what you said, though. We can wait to see where it opens up. That was on DraftKings. We'll see what FanDuel has, MGM, these other books. Maybe we do get a few yards above. So,
just one other note on Keenan Allen receptions. I did go back and try and find some comparable wide receivers to him against the Bengals this season. And the Bengals did allow Devontae Adams to go 11 for 206. And just last week, Deontay Johnson went 9 for 95. Those are kind of similar molded receivers to Keenan Allen. So another feather in the cap for the over receptions there. All right. With that said, we can move on. Let's go to the Giants and the Dolphins. Dolphins are now up to 4.5-point favorites with the Daniel Jones news. The over-under is 41. So Danny Dimes is going to be out for this game with a neck injury. Big Mike Glennon is going to be under center for the Giants. No official news on Kadarius Toney or Sterling Shepard. I would call them both questionable right now, so we'll see if they end up playing. Don't look now, but the Miami Dolphins are the 2nd hottest team in football, winners of 4 straight games, including wins over the Ravens and the Panthers. Now they get the New Jersey special with the Giants and the Jets back to back. So this team is not out of the playoff race. They're playing with some confidence. They're forcing turnovers on defense, similar to what we saw last year. Do you think the Dolphins can keep it rolling here? And did you bet them before the Daniel Jones news? And if not, what would you do right now?
I did not bet them before the Daniel Jones news, and I would not touch them now. It's been a hot team, but I'm not in the business of laying this many points with the Dolphins who, I'm not going to take away their Ravens win. They came out with a great game plan that game and they executed it. They had Lamar Jackson confused. Last week, I'd say they look good on offense. I think the Panthers more beat themselves, or Cam Newton beat themselves last week. And this is me nitpicking. Like I said, I'm not going to take away everything from the Dolphins and then the other.
You just don't want to give them credit. I get it.
I'm admitting they've been playing better, but I'm not just doing a complete 180 on my opinion of this team based on the last 4 games. I don't think they're a great team. Yes, they should be able to take care of business against the Mike Glennon-led Giants, who even with Daniel Jones in there are probably a worse team. And I think they demonstrated that last week against the Eagles when they were gifted 4 turnovers and still couldn't even really pull away. So I would probably lean laying the points with the Dolphins, but there's not a chance in heck I would do it.
I'm with you. I did get the Dolphins here when the Danny Dimes news broke. I got their money line at -155 and then bet the -3.5. If I had to bet it now, I would still bet the Dolphins. But I don't think it's really something that, like you said, I don't really want to lay it with the Dolphins. I think they're going to win. I think their defense has been playing better, but it's still, not a great team, and you have to lay 4.5. Would you like to hear some fun Tua Tagovailoa stats?
Yeah, I guess if you have to.
Per Field Yates on Twitter, Tua went 27 for 33 passing the ball last week against a pretty good Panthers defense, which is an 81.8% completion percentage. He is now only the fourth quarterback in NFL history to have back-to-back games with an 80% completion percentage. And he is now second in the entire league in completion percentage at 70.5% behind only Kyler Murray. Accuracy.
Too bad he doesn't play the Eagles. He would complete 80%.
90% of his passes. Yeah. With that being said, I think we can potentially go back to our guy Jalen Waddle this week. If we get another reception total at 4.5, I got his receiving yards last week in the high 40s. Maybe you just go to them in the high 50s. I'm assuming there will be an adjustment there, but maybe it's only up to the 50s. This is a matchup between two of the worst offensive lines in football. I don't think either team's going to have a lot of success running the ball. Like we just said, Tua has been passing the ball efficiently. Waddle went 9 for 137 and 1 last week, 8 for 65 the week before. He's the number one option. He's the only good option in this passing offense. I think Waddle's in for another big day.
Yeah, I think you're going to get him at 5.5, and I still love the over there. I mean, with Tua in there, it's 10 targets, 9 targets. I'm taking out the Ravens game because Tua played for a half and was injured. Yeah. 10 targets, 12 targets. He's the guy. He gets these he gets these short slant routes. He gets these screen passes. So they're just very highly efficient targets near the line of scrimmage that he gets. He's the go-to guy on third down. So. Yeah, absolutely love Waddle, and I would expect a 5.5 receptions probably in like the -120 range, and I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins kind of realize that they don't have a great offensive line. They don't want Tua to get killed back there. They're calling these short passing plays to Waddle, and it's working. Get the ball in your receiver's hands, let him go make plays, and he's doing it. So I like it as well. Any other props for you in this one? That was all I had here.
No, that's it for me.
All right, let's go to our next game here. The Footballs and the Raiders. The Raiders are 2.5 to 3-point home favorites, depending on where you're looking. Over under is 49. The Washington Footballs are rolling a little bit here. Winners of 3 straight games coming off the bye. Meanwhile, the Raiders continue to make absolutely no sense. Their last 4 games include a blowout win over the Eagles, a loss to the Giants, a blowout loss to the Chiefs and Bengals, and then they turn around and beat the Cowboys last week. Like, I don't know what to do with this team. When I look at the number, I think it's a little bit valuable for the Footballs here. I was expecting this to be more 1.5. So if you're giving me 3 with the Footballs, I like them. I also like them in teasers, getting them up from 2.5 to 8.5. If that's the number you're looking at. There is some historical data that I was reading on Ron Rivera coach teams and how they have performed much better after the bye week compared to before the bye week. I don't know if that's just kind of like a small sample size coincidence type thing, or if it's a legitimate thing that's happening. We know, like I've seen Bill Belichick's record on the Patriots. Their teams have always historically performed a little bit better later in the season compared to like their record in September. So maybe there's a thing to that Ron Rivera late in the season record here. But I like the Footballs here. I would not consider betting the Raiders. The only concern I have is that I can't really figure out this Raiders team. So maybe I just have a bad read on them.
Yeah. So
and also Darren Waller's also questionable, probably not going to play. So that hurts the Raiders as well. Good.
Yeah. So the Raiders are probably right up there with the Chargers and the hardest teams to predict in the NFL. Yeah. And I love I love the style of football. The Footballs are playing right now. This is kind of what we expected coming into the season. They were going to play this grinded out, gritty type of football. The defense has somewhat stepped up recently. I do still think they're susceptible in the secondary, but now you got Waller out, like you just said. And what's left on this team? You got Deshaun Jackson. Like, all right, yeah, he caught a big touchdown last week, but it's like when Deshaun Jackson's on the field, he's going deep. So I don't
understand how any team lets them beat. Like,
I mean, last week I guess it wasn't a deep shot; it was more along the sidelines, and he outran them. But still, like the route he's running, and I don't consider that a huge threat. Outside of that, you got, Hunter Renfrow, who's more of an underneath guy. You got Brian Edwards, who's, they haven't really utilized him much. So, the Footballs are just lining up they're a run first team. They're handing it to Antonio Gibson. They don't care if he's getting 2 or 3 yards a carry. Look, they're not unstoppable running the ball, but they're doing enough to get themselves in manageable third downs. Raiders are very average against the run, so I think they can have some success with Gibson. I believe McKissick is probably going to miss, right? Did you say that?
I did not mention that, but yeah, I was going to mention that in my Gibson prop, but yes.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, that was one thing I was going to touch on is it's all Antonio Gibson here. So he's probably going to he saw over 20 carries last week. He'll probably get 20 to 25 again this week, be involved in the passing game. So yeah, I like the football. The footballs are playing right now. I love them in teasers. Like you said, I'm going to wait to see if another 3 pops up. I'd obviously rather prefer that than the 2.5, but I'll come Sunday, if a 3 doesn't pop up, I probably will still take the footballs because I like them to win this game outright.
Yeah, even just look at their money line. You can probably get that right now. It's like plus 115, plus 120. So if you don't love taking 2.5, take them on the money line. For props in this game, like we just mentioned, definitely going to be looking at Antonio Gibson. I like the rushing plus receiving yards, or maybe even the rushing attempts. We don't have numbers right now, but I would expect him to be lined maybe like low 70s for the rush yards. Maybe you get low 90s for the rushing plus receiving yards, but his workload since the bye has been absolutely unreal. 24 carries against the Bucks, 19 for 95 against the Panthers, and then 29 for 111 against the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Now JD McKissick, like we just mentioned, who has more receptions than every other running back in football since the start of last season, is going to be out. So Gibson's going to be even more involved. He saw, in addition to the 29 carries last week, he saw 7 targets in the passing game. Several screen passes, went for 7 and 35. So I think this is an absolute smash spot for Gibson, and they're just going to ride him and keep doing what's working.
Yep.
On the Raiders side, I think I may have to put in a Deshaun Jackson long shot SGP. I was pissed at myself last week. I wrote myself a note to do a Deshaun Jackson like over alt receiving yards and a touchdown for the Thanksgiving games, and I forgot. And then I turned on the Cowboys game, and sure enough, there he is streaking down the field, scoring a touchdown. So
yeah, but you missed your chance. I feel like you can't do it now. Now you're just chasing. You're chasing it.
Okay, yes, but when I was digging into the matchup, I think it could be there. The footballs are dead last in DVOA at defending the deep pass. They gave up a 55-yard reception to Tyler Lockett last week, 40-yarder to Mike Evans. You obviously also have the Deshaun Jackson revenge narrative game against his former football's team. So I think it could be another Deshaun Jackson spot, and then we jump off the following week.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, like I said, I just don't understand how anyone's getting beat deep by him, because it's not like when he was on the Eagles and he was
I don't get it either.
And he was playing like all the snaps. He's running other routes.
Plays 10 snaps a game.
Yeah. It's like just line up 15 yards off him and don't let him run past you. I know it's easier said than done, but come on.
Yeah. All right. That'll wrap up our breakdown of that game. Let's go to the AFC North. Ravens and Steelers. Steelers are up to 4.5-point home dogs. Over under is 44. You all right over there? You just grunting at the Steelers?
I'm so tired of these Steelers.
Yeah. Well, they're still here. We have to talk about them again. What a surprise last week. The Ravens won yet another close game. They moved to 6-1 in the season in 1-score games. As Rue was just groaning and moaning, the Big Ben Steelers lost a big one. It seems like the Big Ben era is coming to an end. We did talk about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers as an underdog last week, and it did not work. The same situation is here this week. I just don't think I can bring myself to bet it. I don't think I would ever lay it with the Ravens here. I think the Steelers is a play from the numbers perspective, but I don't think I can put myself through that pain again. And we do have TJ Watt on the COVID list, as well as a starting offensive lineman for the Steelers as well.
Oh God. Look,
seem exhausted.
No, I'm just disgusted because the Steelers are the play here. I mean, this number is inflated.
It has to be.
This number is inflated. There's no reason the Steelers should get 4.5 points at home in a divisional game against the Ravens. And can you honestly, like, you can't tell me the Ravens even looked much better than the Steelers last week.
That's horrible last week. I mean, horrible.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, yeah. So you have the Ravens who looked terrible, and they won the game. The Steelers looked terrible. They just happened to be playing a better team that was able to capitalize on their mistakes, whereas the Browns weren't. So Look, God,
we have to bet the Steelers here.
I haven't done it yet. I haven't.
We have to do it
because I want to enjoy my week. I want to just know it. If I go through the rest of the week knowing I have money on the Steelers again, I'm not going to like myself the rest of the week. So I'm going to wait like I did last week until Sunday morning, and I'll put the Steelers in. I'm hoping
you only have to hate yourself for a few hours.
I want the line to move down to like 2.5, so that I don't have to take it. That's what I want.
That's not going to happen.
But if it holds at over 3, if I'm getting 3.5 to 4.5, I'm taking the Steelers, and I'll continue to just light money on fire.
I think we have to bet the Steelers here. I don't think the line's going down. I think maybe it drops down to 4, but like I don't see who's lining up to bet the Steelers here. And it's not like you're going to get any major injuries that we're aware of on the Ravens that are going to cause line movement.
What did this opened at 3, right? So there's been a 1.5. I
think it opened at 3 or 3.5, and then once the TJ Watt thing happened, it went up to 4.
Yeah,
then there was another thing today that got it to 4.5. So I mean, maybe you just wait just to make sure there's no other additional stuff going on with the Steelers with COVID and stuff like that. But I think we're going to have to bet the Steelers here.
Yeah. 12:59 Sunday. I'll put the Steelers in.
And if you forget, good for you.
Yeah, right.
Props in this game. I have 2 that I'm going to be looking at. Do you have any prop looks for you before I go?
No, nothing in this game.
All right. For the Steelers side, I'm going to be looking at James Washington under receptions. So this one was really weird last week. I got him under 2.5 receptions at plus 110. Didn't really think too much of it. Just like thought it was a really good number. And I checked back a few hours later and it was like minus 160. So I don't know if it was like a glitch.
Wait, you got
like
plus money?
Plus 110. And then I honestly thought I was like seeing something wrong because it was minus 170 by game time.
Because I saw that prop and I wanted to play it, but the juice was too much for me. I can't believe you got plus money on that. That had to be.
I know it stood out to me when I was looking, but I was like, oh, it's weird. It's like a good price. I'll play it as just like a normal prop. And then all of a sudden I was like, crap, I probably found like a semi glitch that I should have played. So we'll see where that line opens up. But Washington has only gone over this one game in the last 6 weeks. He has only had one game with more than 3 targets. And most of his targets, sorry, lost my spot there. Most of his targets are down the field. So they're going to be these higher ADOT targets. So if you can get under 2.5 receptions at reasonable juice, or even if they offer under 1.5 at like plus 120 or something, I think that could be a play. Last week, he went 2 targets, 1 catch for 3 yards in a game where Big Ben threw the ball 41 times. And then on the Ravens side, Hollywood Brown over receptions. I'm hoping we can find a juice 4.5, maybe like minus 150 or lower. If not, I'd also be fine with over 5.5 at plus money. Hollywood's getting insane target volume, 12 plus targets in 3 straight games. The reason that I like this play on the reception total so much is we've kind of seen a shift in Hollywood's game recently. So his ADOT, his average depth of target, where he's at on the field when the ball is coming to him, if he's 5 yards down the field, 25 yards down the field, whatever, that number has come down significantly. In the first 8 weeks of the season, he was routinely 14, 15 yards or higher. He was getting a lot of deep bombs. He was getting throws down the field. The last 3 weeks, his ADOT has dropped under 9 every single week. He's getting several wide receiver screen passes. We saw it in that Dolphins game. It would be like 3rd and 9. Oh, let's call up a Hollywood screen. He's getting a lot of these targets around the line of scrimmage. So I think he's a good bet for the over reception total, whereas in the past you would want to play him over receiving yards. He was more of a volatile receiver. I think his role is shifting, and we can capitalize on that before the market fully adjusts.
I like that. 4.5. I'd take that.
Yeah, we'll see where it opens. No official numbers yet, but that's the look. All right, let's move on. Jaguars and the Rams, our second very large spread of the week. We also had the Bucks game, but the Rams are going to be 12.5-point home favorites here. The over-under is 47. Somehow the Rams are 12.5-point favorites, despite their offense being pretty broken here. They have looked bad for a month. They didn't win a game in the month of November. They didn't really look good in any of their games, but there's no better recipe for breaking out of a slump than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you think the Rams get back on track here, or are you steering clear until you see something more out of them?
Yeah, this game overall, complete pass for me. I don't even really need to waste too much time digging into it. I can't lay.
I have like 4 plays in this game.
I can't lay this many points with the Rams, against anyone with the way they've looked. And yeah, they, if you just look at the box score from last week, it doesn't look bad. But, if you watch that game, you realize how bad it was. You can't trust the Jaguars at this point. This whole team is a disaster. I mean, Lawrence has been a complete disappointment. The coaching staff's clueless. So yeah, this game from a total and side and everything perspective is a complete pass for me.
And the Jaguars did lose yet another skill position player. Dan Arnold's going to be out for the season. So good luck with that on offense. I have a couple plays in this game. I'm going to be looking at the Rams over 3.5 touchdowns.
Oh, come on.
Why? This was that. Because this is the spot to get right. That they're not going to be a bad. There's too much talent on this offense for them.
Yeah, but this is it's like the Seahawks thing where you're just waiting for it every week. You're convincing yourself they're going to get right.
But it's not like they've done nothing.
You might be right. But me personally, I can't recommend betting it until we see. Yeah, they could easily come out and score 35 points this game, but I don't know how you can lay money on it with the way they've looked.
I disagree. I like the Rams team total or over 3.5 touchdowns. I'm also going to be looking at Sony Michel over rushing yards. If Darrell Henderson does not play, he is questionable with an injury. Or you could also look at the rushing attempts. The Jaguars have been decent at run defense. So maybe you look at the attempts over the yards, but I do think they're going to try and rest Stafford a little bit in the second half. Maybe they get a lead and just run it with Michel. I think he's a decent enough running back. And in the game so far where the Rams were favored by more than a touchdown, they had 30 rushing attempts against the Giants, only 17 against the Lions, but that was obviously a weird game where they had the onside kick and they didn't have the ball for the whole first half. And then the other game against the Texans in week 8, they had 31 rushing attempts. So I think if Henderson is out, Michel could easily see 25 carries here. And my second play in this game, Matt Stafford under rushing yards. We'll see if should be somewhere around 3.5, 2.5. Auto bet for me whenever the Rams are a big favorite. There's kneel down potential. There's potential that he sits out the fourth quarter if they're up big so we can get some extra rest. Stafford only had 1 carry for -1 yards last week against the Packers. We know he's dealing with a back injury. The under is 8-3 on a line of 2.5 so far this season. I think this should be priced if it's 2.5 at -180 to the under. So it's not going to be. Give me the standard under price of -115 all day.
A lot of assumptions in there.
Well, what am I assuming? Am I assuming that it's 8-3 on the season?
I'm saying
we're going to get -115?
They'll be dominating. They'll be resting in the fourth quarter.
All right, yeah, they're going to be down by 20 to the Jaguars.
I'm just saying, so a lot of assumptions in there.
Well, how do you bet a prop without assumptions? Like, what are you going to predict the outcome? Like, you know what's going to happen? Like,
yeah.
All right, tell me about the 49ers and the Seahawks the next game. I don't want to assume anything. I would like you to tell me what happens. Go ahead.
Do you want me to tell you? I've been seeing it for 3 weeks. The Seahawks are going to come out. Everyone's going to say,
it's a bad game.
This is the game Russ gets right. This is it. He's going to get right. He's going to come out, look absolutely terrible. And everyone's going to be like, oh, my God, why did I back the Seahawks here? Well, no, I'm going to be the smart one and take the 49ers. I took them at -3. The line was still up during the Sunday night game or the Monday night game. Sorry. When I was seeing how bad Russ looked after, again, last week, I didn't convince him. You convinced yourself that he was going to be fine when I tried to talk you out of it. I'm fading the Seahawks until I see a reason not to. I'm tired of this is the game Russ gets right. The 49ers are rolling right now. Yes, Deebo Samuel is a big loss for this offense, but they've been controlling the clock, like I said, the past few weeks, and they should have no issue doing that against a Seahawks team who ranks dead last in third down conversion percentage and dead last in time of possession. They cannot stay on the field. I don't know what the final numbers were, but at the start of the fourth quarter, they had like 4 first downs the entire game last week. This team is broken. Russ cannot complete the passes we're used to. He had a long pass to Tyler Lockett last week, but it was Lockett wide open with no one within 20 yards of him. He's missing those intermediate throws, those easy out routes. And I'm riding the hot hand here with the 49ers. Elijah Mitchell should be able to, fill in for Deebo Samuel or make up for that loss. They have Kittle back. They have Ayuk, who's been playing better. So give me the 49ers -3 here. And it's 3.5 now?
Yeah, so just rewind real quick here. The Seahawks are 3.5 point home underdogs for this game. Over under is 46. Fruit is going to be on the Niners here. I have not made a bet for this game, but I literally agree with everything you said. I don't even know if I need to say much on this game. The only thing I will say is this is one of the few games with weather concern. It's expected to be 46 degrees, some wind, and I saw like a 65 to 70% chance of rain. I do think that helps the 49ers, honestly.
Yeah, they've been great stopping the run. They've been great stopping the run.
And they love to run the ball.
Yeah, and they love to run the ball. So, yeah, give me more of the 49ers if there's weather concerns.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Debo and the offense. I was going to add, covered everything right there. I don't even need to say much. Props for this game. I will go there because I do have some looks here. Alex Collins under rush yards. We'll see if I was so mad at myself. This got steamed up to like 51.5 against the footballs. And I wanted to play the under so bad. And for some reason, I didn't do it. And this bum went 7 carries for 14 yards. So if we get anything in the 40s, even the high 30s, I think this guy just stinks at football. 7 for 14 last week. Like I said, 10 for 36 the week before. The 49ers ranked number 2 in DVOA against the run, like you said. And also, as you mentioned, the Seahawks have run by far the fewest plays in the league. They're the worst team in the league at third down conversion, only running 54 plays per game. The Texans are the second worst at 58.6. So you can just see the gap there. And we know that this Niners team is going to control the clock. I could honestly project the Seahawks for under 50 plays in this game, and they're probably going to be playing from behind. So I love the under on Collins rush yards.
Yeah, you can't bet any overs on the Seahawks offense. I mean, you could bet
Tyler Lockett.
You could bet. I don't even think you can. Like I said, you got
he hit 2 weeks in a row.
It was a broken play last week, and
that's all of his plays. That's Tyler Lockett doesn't even run routes. He just waits for Russ to get in trouble, and then he does something and whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm with you on the Collins though.
Where would you play Elijah Mitchell rush yards up to?
71.5.
I played higher than that.
Higher?
I wrote like 82.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. Meet in the middle. Meet in the middle.
All right, high 70s. I think we could definitely get on board with Mitchell rush yards. He absolutely dominated last week. 27 carries for 133 yards. This dude's playing with a broken finger and also caught 5 of 6 targets. Played 70% of the snaps. Got 77% of the running back carries. I think we can project that to be even higher moving forward now that Debo, who essentially had become the running back 2 on this team, is going to be out. Jeff Wilson just hasn't had it this year. We know the team hates rookie running back Trey Sermon for some reason. So I think Mitchell's workload is unmatched. 27 carries in back-to-back weeks. I'm expecting another huge effort for him. Maybe you could even look at rushing attempts if you get something in the high teens, low 20s. Like this team's just going to ride Elijah Mitchell and get to an easy win here.
Why did they draft Trey Sermon? What? I mean, they
traded up to get Trey Sermon, and then they took Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round, and Trey Sermon can't even see the field. Like
Mitchell or Sermon was inactive week 1, and then Mitchell just
don't get me started on Kyle Shanahan in the draft.
Crazy.
Dude has no idea what he's doing. No. They also traded up to get a quarterback that they're not allowing to see the field. Like, what are they doing? All right, that's enough on that game. Let's go to the AFC West. This is a Sunday night football game. Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are a hefty 9.5-point favorite. Over-under is 47.5. Broncos got a pretty impressive win over the Chargers. The Chiefs are coming off the bye, so tee up all your Andy Reid off the bye narratives. Do we have clarity on the Broncos quarterback situation? Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater got banged up in that last game. Do we know if it's trending towards him or Drew Lock starting here?
I haven't seen one way or the other. Last thing I saw, it was like Monday, I think. It was like Bridgewater wasn't even close to 100%. But let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything from today right now.
All right. So, yeah, I feel like you can't really bet this. At least if you're on the Broncos, you can't really bet this game until you know the quarterback. I would lean to the Broncos here. If this is going to be Teddy Bridgewater, and if you can get a 10 with Teddy Bridgewater, I'm gonna be all over the Broncos here. If it's Drew Lock, I don't think you can touch it. He looked terrible last week. He is terrible. I don't think I would bet the Chiefs at double digits if it's Drew Lock, but my play here is going to be Broncos plus 10 if we get Bridgewater in. If not, I'm just going to pass this one.
Yeah, this game's a pass for me. Normally with Bridgewater 100%, I would love the Broncos here. But, then you factor in, like you said, the Andy Reid coming off a bye. We have enough of a sample size to where it means something. He's covering at about 67% off a bye for his career. So he obviously knows how to get things right off the bye. I'd be shocked if this Chiefs team came out of this bye and looked flat and looked like they did, against the Cowboys before they went on the bye. So I do see this kind of as a get right game for the Chiefs here. And, if Drew Lock does play and this number holds at a flat 10, I wouldn't be opposed to taking the Chiefs. But if Bridgewater's in, it's a pass for me.
Okay. I think that's fair. Do you have any prop looks in this game?
I wouldn't mind queuing up a Javonte Williams. I think they're going to try and lean on the run regardless of who's at quarterback. Play the keep away game, try and keep that Chiefs offense off the field. And, we know this Chiefs defense, they've been better, but they can still be run on. So if we get Javonte, he only went over by a yard last week. So if he's somewhere around that mid to upper 40s range, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, I wrote down the same thing. Honestly, either Broncos running back. If you get Melvin Gordon a couple yards lower than Javonte, I'd be fine with taking him over as well, or instead of Javonte. They're basically splitting the backfield 50-50, so whoever guy is lying lower. I think your breakdown there was perfect, and I didn't really have any other plays on this one.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the game of the week. This is going to be a fun one. A matchup of the top two ranked defenses in the league squaring off on Monday Night Football, a battle for the number one spot in the AFC East, the Patriots and the Bills. Bills are floating between 2.5 and 3-point favorites. Looks like it's 3 now in DraftKings. Over under is 43. Is the potential for weather in some game in this game. It looks like it's going to be 30 degrees. I saw some winds and a small chance of snow. I can't wait to watch this game. Unfortunately, I'm really having a problem finding a great bet here. I think it's hard to find any real matchup advantages. These teams are, like I said, the top two defenses in the league. I'm kind of having some problems seeing how either offense is going to have a ton of success. I think this projects as a real dogfight. I still think the Bills are the better team. They're at home, but I just don't want to lay 3 points with them right now. The Patriots have looked better. They've won 6 straight games. Josh Allen's been turning the ball over. I think that could potentially flip this game. If Mac Jones plays a clean game and Josh Allen has 2 or 3 turnovers, that's going to be enough to get the Patriots to win. So I don't have a play here. I really wanted to have a bet on this game, but I think this is one that, as a super fan of the NFL, I'm just going to sit back, watch, and have some fun without any money on the line.
Yeah, I took the Patriots at +3.
Okay.
And I've heard some whispers. It's like, oh, the Patriots, like it's a sell high spot. And you could make a case for it. Like that, they're on this win streak and it's like, oh, who have they beaten? But who have the Bills beaten this whole season? I mean, their signature win is against the Chiefs team who was just absolutely broken at the time. Other than that, it's been Miami, Washington, Houston, the Jets. They lose to the Jaguars. They, beat the Dolphins again. It's, they lose their toughest test against the Colts. So I don't think this Bills team is that great. I feel like, look, let me rephrase. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're as great as they're made out to be. I think that they're still somehow getting some love from last year's team to this year. And, I don't think they've done anything to merit that respect. This Patriots team just comes out every week, throws together a great game plan, plays great defense. Mac Jones does what he, just kind of does what he has to, and they find a way to win the game. You have Josh Allen, who struggled against the Patriots in his career. In 5 games, he only has a 56% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and only 210 yards per game, 2-3 record. All these numbers are well below his career average. So, Belichick, again, against these young quarterbacks, has a way to confuse them. Patriots' biggest weakness on defense is the run game, but outside of Josh Allen, they really have not shown the ability to establish a consistent run game. They've cycled through 3 running backs. You said the top 2 teams in defensive DVOA, 2 and 3 in overall team DVOA. So I'm just riding with the hot hand here, getting a field goal in what should be a very close contested game. I wouldn't be surprised if this did come down to a field goal at the end of the game. So I feel pretty good about getting either a push or a win here with the 3. So give me the Patriots here.
Man, Bill Belichick's such a good coach. I mean, just look at like the team that they have right now, the talent on their offense or the lack of talent. They're just rolling. It's incredible what Belichick does with the game plan every single week and just gets the most out of every single player on the field. And also forgot to mention an injury here. The Bills did lose their number 1 Pro Bowl cornerback, Tre'Davious White. So like we said, it's not like the Patriots have an elite wide receiver where it's going to be, this guy's now going to go off of the Patriots. But obviously you lose a player of that caliber on your defense, it's going to have an impact. So maybe the Patriots can have a little bit more success through the air than they otherwise would be able to. So
yeah.
Any props in this game? These are two teams that it's honestly pretty hard for me to have props on. So yeah,
no
all
props.
Right, pass there. Let's go to our long shots of the week. Then that'll conclude our recap of each game. So for the long shots, we pick a play. Anything on the board that we want. It could be a prop, a side, a total, a parlay. The odds have to be plus 200 or higher, and it will be our long shot of the week. So, Rue, I will kick it over to you first.
Yeah, I am going back to the Chargers game, and I'm going to go with a Austin Eckler anytime touchdown and a Chargers outright win. It is currently plus 240 on FanDuel. Eckler has 14 total touchdowns on the year. He has scored in 3 straight games, and he is the guy on this offense through the air, on the ground, and around the goal line. So, talked about how outrageous I think this spread is. I think the Chargers have a extremely good chance to win this game. So give me Austin Eckler and a Chargers win at plus 240.
Okay. I like it. For my long shot of the week, touched on this one a little bit earlier. I'm going to go to a Taysom Hill anytime touchdown, currently plus 275 on DraftKings. I believe it was about plus 190 on FanDuel. So get it in now while you can. In 4 starts last year, Taysom Hill scored 4 total touchdowns. We are talking about a dude that has 10 touchdowns scored over his last 13 games. And the majority of those 13 games, he's playing a handful of snaps. He's in on a goal line package. He's in on a trick play here and there. He's just a bull in the red zone. He just runs over guys. He's an absolute truck. As good as Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram is, Taysom Hill is the goal line back for this team. If they get in the red zone, he's going to call his own number. He's the quarterback. He loves the quarterback keeper. Love this price on Taysom Hill. I was honestly expecting it to be like plus 150. So you're getting plus 275. Love it. Taysom Hill anytime touchdown Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I love that play. I mean, it's those, now that he's confirmed as the starter, those odds are just completely outrageous.
All right, let's go to our favorite bets of the week. I will let you do the honors.
Yeah, we talked about it all show. It is a great teaser week. So I'm going to go with my favorite teaser of the week, which is the Eagles and Colts. Both these teams should be able to take care of business on the ground against very inferior opponents. So give me the Eagles down to a pick 'em basically. Are they 6.5 right now? And then the Colts down to 2.5. DraftKings minus 120 teaser. Eagles Colts, my favorite play of the week.
All right. I had a very similar play for my favorite play of the week. I had a Cardinals and Colts 6-point teaser. So you get the Colts down to minus 2.5, Cardinals down to minus 1.5. We kind of touched on all these games already. Alternatively, if you just wanted a straight up play for me, my favorite bet of the week would be the Chargers plus 3.5. If you maybe just bet any side of the week, that would be it. I think anything at 3 or over 3 is a little bit crazy in that game. So those would be my favorite bets of the week.
I am with you on that. And then if you do end up getting a 3 for the footballs, that would probably be up there for me as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we're on the same page on a lot of this stuff. All right. Are we ready to do a chalk donkey parlay of the week? This is one where we parlay a bunch of big favorites, see if we can create a valuable bet and get a winner.
All right, let's do it. I'll go on FanDuel.
I'll be on DraftKings. Do we like the Colts?
We like the Colts.
Okay. Do we like the Cardinals?
We like the Cardinals.
I feel like I don't want to add the Vikings. Like I have the Vikings in teasers, but they still scare me. Like there's just something about that team.
Can add the Eagles in.
If we do the Eagles, I mean, I'm already at plus money.
Yeah, me too. So Eagles, Colts, and Cardinals. I have plus 110 right now.
Plus 120 on DraftKings.
Perfect.
All right, that's the play. Chalk donkey parlay of the week. You're going to go Colts, Cardinals, Eagles, money line, plus 120. DraftKings Sportsbook. Lock it in, and let's get that record up to 5-3 on the year. Anything left to say?
Nope.
All right, folks, that's a wrap. Hope everyone out there has a fantastic week 13. Let's keep the hot streak going. Any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod. The DMs are always open. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Smash the like button on YouTube. As always, the link to the YouTube page, the link to the YouTube video will be in the description of this podcast, as well as a post on our Twitter page from Jeff and Rue. We are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast, because every time you bet with us, you bet right.